these 12 disciples to 12 people to disciple them. The purpose of discipling is to make them people who can hold the authority of Christ, and also who can hold the power of God, so that after Jesus gone, these people will continue the work of Jesus on this earth. So he wants to make them, it's like a balloon. If you see the balloon, there's air in the balloon that is like a power in a person. But if there is holes in the balloon, doesn't how much power you receive from God, it's just going to go. So that's why Jesus is preparing his disciples not to have any openings in their lives, so that when they receive power, they don't lose power. So they can use that power to exercise authority over this earth. Maybe you have authority, you are appointed to do certain work, that is called authority. You are appointed to do something, like you are authorized to do certain things. But at the same time, you should have power to exercise authority. It is like a police officer. He is a police officer. So he has authority. He is authorized to bring judgment to people. So he is authorized, to bring law. He can arrest anybody if they do wrong. So he has authority to do it. But if he doesn't carry a gun with him, so people are not going to afraid of him, even though he's a police officer. So having a gun is like having power of God. So that's what Jesus is doing to these 12 disciples, so that they can have the power in them. They can exercise authority in this world. So how can they become people who can hold that power? Is that they should not have any holes. So what is that holes is? That is like a fleshly nature. If you have, that's why Satan knows how to make you to lose power. Okay, you had a great time of prayer today.
Yeah.
He knows you received so much power today. But he knows how to make you to lose power. So he touched the areas, your flesh. Wherever you are in the flesh, wherever you walk in the flesh, that's where he can get you. He can catch you. So that's why Jesus said, if you die to your flesh, tell me, how can Satan can get you? So the person who died to flesh, he cannot be caught by the devil. Devil cannot reach him at all. That's why Jesus said, Prince of this world is coming, but he has no hold on me. Why? Because there's nothing of flesh in him. He totally died to flesh. That's why Satan could not get him. So he is able to exercise authority over the devil. So that's the purpose, Jesus choosing these 12 disciples and making them to walk like him, to live like him, making them to give up their flesh. That's why it took 3.5 years for Jesus to make them like that. Finally, they just become like Christ. So the process, how he had to take them, that process is a discipling. So today, our purpose also that only. So why we are discipling? for us to come out of the flesh so that you can become like them, you can receive power, you can have authority, you can shake the world. So discipling is to make people who can shake the world, to receive power and authority. Okay, so that's why Jesus, what he did with them is, he had to make them to go through situation so that they will be exposed to the surroundings, they will be exposed to the things, though then their flesh will come out. Are you understanding? Their flesh will be exposed to them, so that otherwise you don't even know what your weak points. Because everything is hidden inside of us. Till the situation comes, you don't know who you are. So that is the reason Jesus took them through the, in one way, he's letting them exposed to the hardships. You understand? To the hardships, so that the nature will come out, will be exposed. If things are great, nice, no one will be exposed. You know? Actually, if you see how they make diamonds, they make diamonds from charcoal. You know that? That she was telling. Charcoal.
Yeah.
Diamond today is the most costliest than any other metal today. Heard how costly diamond is, but made out of charcoal. But the process, they put the charcoal through the process. That's the hard like a fire. The fire that they put that charcoal in through the fire, and like that. Finally, it became a diamond, and most valuable. And you know, uncut diamonds are less expensive. And if you take the diamond and cut it, the more cuts the diamond has, more expensive. Because the more you cut the diamond, it shines more. It sparkles more. You know? So the process to make diamond process is very, very tough and hardcore. You know? So it just, discipling is just the same. Just the same. The more hardship you go through, you become like a diamond. You become so expensive, like you become the person so precious and so valuable into this world. That's why Jesus said, you are salt in this world. You are light in this world. You give light to the nations. Your existence is so valuable to this world. Because of your existence, Satan cannot do so many things in this world just because of your existence. If Christ's authority is not in this world, I'm telling you, the world will be destroyed. Hurricanes, volcanoes, how many things that Satan can bring into this world. You know, he is meddling with the nature. He's meddling with that. And so many things Satan could not do because of the authority his people holding on this earth. That's what Jesus made sure before he leaves the world. He was making sure his authority remains here. Even after he's gone, his authority has to be remain here. That's why if you see Jesus, as soon as he's baptized, um, his ministry is about making disciples. Did you see? Soon after baptism, he went into the prayer first, 40 days prayer. In this 40 days prayer, he is taking the direction from Father and strategies how to do his ministry. So what God showed him is that making disciples first. So that's why as soon as he come out, the first thing he started doing is calling out disciples. He's choosing disciples. And when he was doing miracles and all that, he kept disciples with him when he was doing all that. So that is a part of discipleship, is that he took with him all the 12 wherever he went, and in front of them he was doing healings, deliverances, all that. He wanted them to watch it. So the reason why he was doing it is that he wanted them to catch the heart of the Father. He was actually, more than him telling the heart of the Father, he's demonstrating Father's heart. Because that's what they were catching, that is that, see, this is my Father's will, for me to heal people. So this is the heart of the Father. So when Pharisees were pointing out, why you are doing on the Sabbath day, so he was explaining that if a donkey or horse fell into the pit, do you wait for one more day? Do you let that stay in the pit? It is like that, because my Father cares about each person's health. It is so important to him that for you to get healed. So that is what Jesus wanted them to catch, the heart of the Father. So, and he was casting out demons, and he was letting them know that my Father doesn't allow these things to happen in his kingdom. So he was demonstrating the kingdom of God to them. So in my kingdom, in my world, these things should not occur at all. People should not be sick. People should not possess demons. So, and people should not die before the time. He's raising them up. So disciples were watching all that. So disciples were so curious, how can he do these things like this? They never saw, miracles never happened before Jesus. They never saw those kind of things. In the Old Testament, only in the time of Elijah and some prophets, they raised the dead up. But 400 years passed away. After 400 years, this New Testament started. So in this period of time, there were no miracles. Even you never heard people hearing God. 400 years, quiet, silent period. There was nothing written in the Bible what happened during those 400 years. Suddenly, Jesus coming and doing these kind of miracles, for them, they were astonished to see all this, the power. And that's why, and they were thinking, because for them, Jesus, for us, Jesus, we picture Jesus as God. We don't picture him like a one ordinary human being like you and me. But for them, there was, you put yourself in that time in their shoe and think. For them, Jesus was like a one human being, just like you and me, one man walking there. And they were astonished. How can he do this kind of miracles? So that's why they were asking him question. teach us how to pray, because that's what they found. There's some secret. Whenever he prays and come back, so much power. He's coming with power and started doing these things. That's why they're very curious. They asked him a question, teach us how to pray. There's something in the prayer is happening. And Jesus taught them prayer. And the prayer, how the Lord's Prayer, when he said the Lord's Prayer, he's showing them the items, the points. It's not that same thing prayer you repeat again and no. He was showing them, this is the summary. This is the summary of my prayer. It's like thy kingdom come. It means he was always praying for the kingdom of God to come. That was his primary prayer. That's what disciples got it. Wow. Even when you pray, you only have to focus. Your life is always should be revolved around the kingdom coming to this earth. You know? And also he was saying that forgive our sins as we forgive others. So that's what they got it. It means you're supposed to forgive all the time. The way you forgive, you will be forgiven. They were getting it. The heart of God, they were getting it. And that's why, Peter was asking that question. So it means it's okay in the discipling thing. It's okay to ask questions. You can ask questions. God is ready to answer all your questions. That's why Peter was so innocently asking every question and asking him, saying that, how many times should we forgive? Because Jesus was telling them, you should love one another. All those 12 disciples, he gathered them and telling them, you should love one another now. So then he had a question, how many times should I forgive them? If anybody do wrong to me, just telling, doesn't matter, infinite times. Infinite. 7 times means it's a 77. What does it mean? It's not uncountable. If you have to, you should be ready to forgive. So he told them the way to live. If you do all that, there will be no flesh in you anymore. And the other thing is that Jesus was telling them all this, your attitude should change. That is what Matthew chapter 5, Beatitudes. That is all about your attitude should be like this. Mainly, he was teaching all those teachings for his disciples. Wherever he went, most of his teachings are for his disciples. If you see Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, all those for his disciples. But there were times other people were also sometimes there, but mainly he was focusing, those teachings are for his disciples. This is the way you should live. And there were competitions going on among them. That's what happens. If you keep people together, there will be fightings. Same thing, right? If you are all together in one place for a long time, definitely we fight. Just 1 hour, 2 hours, we meet and go, that's okay. But all the time, Jesus, morning to evening, they were all together. So there will be friction going on between them, and some arguments were happening, and some competition going on there. And Jesus was listening to their conversation, and he was correcting them right there itself. So then he said, he called one small child and he showed them, if you, the one who humble the most, he will become greater. Because they were arguing themselves, who is greater among us? And me, I am the great, I am the great. Like that something happening. Maybe not directly saying that great, but among those lines, their conversation. So Jesus said, but is one thing I really liked about this is Chris Vallotton, somebody said that, we all think that we should not have the desire to become great. It's a sinful, we think. But Jesus never said that is sinful. What he said is, he showed us the way to become great. So it means having a desire to become great is not sinful. But he showed them that, to become great, humble yourself. If you humble yourself, you become the great. The more you humble, the more greater you become. And people think that, if you start humbling, people can use you and exploit you and, like a doormat they treat you. But Jesus said different. Jesus said, no, if you humble, you become great. Yes. So, what Jesus is trying to do them is, he's renewing their minds. If you observe this whole thing, he's renewing their mind. The way you think, he's changing the way how to think. Okay? So if you see it, because one time Peter asked, the people were rejecting Jesus in one place, and Peter asked, shall we call fire to come down and burn them? And then immediately, no, Jesus said, Father's heart. We are not supposed to judge them. Yes. That's not Father's heart. I did not come here to judge anybody. See, like that, he was, their attitudes, their thinking, that he was changing them, So, why he is doing that? If you change your mind, Satan has no grip on you. That's what I'm telling, that there will be no holes in you anymore. So, all the fleshly nature is in our mind only. Okay? The reason, I'll tell you one thing. When you were not in God before, our nature was sinful. But after you come to Jesus, he changed your nature. You have a godly nature now. You don't have Adamic nature anymore. But the thing is that the mind, before when you had sinful nature, that nature shaped your mind in a certain way. But now, Jesus changed your nature, but the mind still thinking the same way, the way how you used to think before when you have old nature, when you had old nature. You understand? Your old nature shaped your mind in a certain way. But now, your nature is different. You have a godly nature. But the thing is that the mind is not renewed. The mind still continue thinking the old way. That's the reason Satan attacking us, because his belonging is still remained in us. Are you getting it? Yeah. The world thinks something still remained in us. He's taking advantage of that old thing in you. Satan is seeing that old mind and taking advantage of it. That is the reason he could attack you today. So what Jesus is trying to do here is that, because Jesus changed their nature. Yes. When disciples following him, he changed their nature totally. He given them new nature. What he's trying to do in discipling is changing their minds now. He's renewing their minds. So that after he's gone, Satan cannot touch them because their mind's been renewed. These 3.5 years, his training is about renewing the minds. Okay, so what he was telling is that, these jealousies, competitions, all these struggles, what we have towards each other, envying each other, misunderstanding each other, all these things are all old nature shaped our mind. But now Jesus is changing them to think certain ways that it's not about you are great, I am great. It's about serving Father's heart. He was teaching them, my Father's will is that not these people to perish. That's what he told them, for one sheep, my Father will go. One sheep. Yes. He showed them the heart of the Father. He leaves 99 and go for how much he cares for the lost souls. My Father's heart is for lost souls. So that's what he's trying to teach them. Focus on these things. Instead of focusing on you are great, I am great, I am this, you are this. Let us all focus on Father's heart. What my Father's heart is all about. So Jesus, when he lived on this earth, he always was looking at Father's heart, always did what Father wants. Even his speech, whatever Father wants him to speak, he only spoke it. When Pharisees were treating him bad, he might get angry. He could have said so many words to them out of anger, getting hurt. But he never said anything, because if Father is not telling him to say anything, he did not say. He only spoke in the words which Father given him to speak. He is so careful about even his words, what he spoke. So that's what disciples learned. All those things they learned from Jesus. That's why they did not react to the people who are persecuting them. They only reacted when it is not good for them, anything. For those things they reacted. But they did not react if something is hurting their ego or pride. Those things they never reacted to. Only they reacted to things which are not safe for the people. And also they learned to forgive enemies, because they saw Jesus crying out on the cross, saying that, Father, forgive them. They do not know what they're doing. They received that same heart. Before they did not have that heart. Before Peter was like revengeful. But after seeing Jesus, they learned that the same attitude, they got it. And when they were dying, they prayed like that, Father, forgive them. And I was reading in the Bible study, I saw every one of them become martyrs, except John. Every disciple martyred. In all they said it since before their death. They said, every one of them said, I'm not worthy to be crucified like my Lord Jesus. You crucify me different. Every one of them. some are hanged and some are crucified upside down, some are different way. But why that touched my heart today? Wow. Every one of them said, they all did the works of Christ. They all behaved like Christ. Everybody called them Christian. They looked like Christ. But they realized we are not worthy to be die like my master. We should die different way. So they really got that heart of the Father. And it's so amazing to see the change, the transformation in their life is that the same people once they were quarreling who is great, what happened to them all of a sudden? After Jesus gone, they were totally different people. There were no quarreling among them, no competition among them. If you see, it's like they are promoting each other. And they're considering others greater than them. Their attitude totally changed. And also Jesus taught them something else. In those last days, he gone down and started washing their feet. And he wanted to teach them that's how you're supposed to do to each other. And when only among 12 disciples, when they were all sitting, he suddenly gone down, started doing that. And then Peter, no, don't touch, because for in that Jewish culture also, same like Indian culture, we feel we should not touch feet. And Peter said, no, don't touch my feet. He said, no, I'm cleaning you. This is not about touching feet. I'm cleaning you. If I don't clean you up, you cannot take part with me. You cannot be with me in other sense. You cannot be with me if I don't clean you. Then immediately, did you see the reaction of Peter? It means he wanted to be with Jesus that badly. Immediately he said, in that case, you clean me whole. Then he said, no. There's a need. You don't need that. Because you already took bath. You only need feet to be cleaned. It means you're already sanctified. I already made you clean. Only thing, the way you think needs to change. You need to repent about your mindset. That's only need to be cleaned now. So he started cleaning their feet. And then also he showed a model. Tomorrow when I'm gone, you also do this way. It means you clean each other. It means you better correct each other. Otherwise, don't let Satan attack anybody. You protect each other by cleaning each other. If you see something which is not right in other person, you know Satan is going to catch them. Because if there is any fleshly thing, they are in trouble. That's why before Satan gets them, you clean them up. But the way how you need to do, go down under it. It means whenever you are correcting any person, you go down. Jesus was on his knees, when he was doing it. He was on his knees. It means you humble yourself when you bring correction to your fellow brothers. That's what humble yourself. It means correction you should never bring in such a way is that you are wrong, you are that should not. You humble yourself. It means, brother, I also gone through that same situation. Because expose your weaknesses too, so that people don't feel bad. It means they cannot connect with you otherwise. If they think that you are so great, you are so holy, you are so powerful, and they cannot relate with you. If you also tell your weak points, what you gone through, how you came out, then people can relate with you. Then they'll be encouraged to take correction. That's how you need to humble yourself and correct other person. But that is the way, so that there won't be any quarrels whenever you do these things. But it's must. Cleaning each other is must. Many times you don't see your own faults. I'm telling you, this is truth. I don't know what my faults are. Only other person can know, can see it. Maybe some of the major things you might know is clearly evident to everybody. Those kind of things you might catch it. But most of the times, I'm telling you, we don't know. Other person can see it clearly. That's why it's very important to be open to each other and to be transparent, and giving freedom to other people is very important. Don't feel bad to correct me, like that. Why? I don't want enemy to get me.
Yeah.
It's good for me. I'm secured. But on the whole, you know what happened? They all became one in spirit, in heart. If you all move with, it's okay. I can see your weakness, you can see mine. Let it be within.
Yes.
You understand? Let it be within us, rather than getting exposed to the devil. It's okay, you exposed to me, I exposed to you. Let us settle things within us. Don't let enemy look at us. So finally they all became one in heart, in spirit, and they could shake the world. Hallelujah. Do you want to become diamonds? Yes. I want to be diamond.
Amen.
One encouraging thing, don't ever feel bad if any correction is happening to you, because Jesus is telling us we don't have devil nature. We have Christ nature. The only thing is our mind, which is understanding. That mind was there before also. It was coming from that time. So now it's time for us to change our mindset. Hallelujah, hallelujah. What all we thought and discussed today, Lord, we want to implement this in our life, Lord Jesus. Change our minds, Lord. Change our thinking, Lord Jesus. Renew our minds, Lord Jesus. Lord, show us what needs to be changed in our minds, Lord Jesus. The areas, Lord, where we need to change, Lord. God is telling, even for sicknesses, you getting attacked, God is telling, even your mind is only opening door. Mind. The thinking, some thinking that is opening way to the devil to attack. Sharabalandarakara. Sharabalandarakara manabala karamanabala karamanabala sharakara. Karamala karamana. Because you're not thinking that curses, when you come to Christ, curses were broken. If we don't think that way, then we are open to the curses again. Because the curses continue in our life. Because we are not changing our mind the way we think. We should think like this. Jesus broke my curse on the cross. Like that. He healed my body upon the cross. I'm healed. Like that you must have the thinking. God is also saying that you are thinking very low about yourself. Because of that also, Satan is attacking. Whenever you look into mirror, you should see yourself like a beautiful creation of God. Beautiful creation, because God never makes mistakes. You did not create yourself. God created you. God made you. God is the one who gave you that face, that features, everything. You did not make it. God gave you. So, God never makes mistakes. So, always thank God. Lord, you made me beautiful. You made me beautiful. Your creation is beautiful. Like that. We should thank God whenever we look ourselves into the mirror. Hallelujah. You know, everything is great and good in the glory of God. Our original creation is in the glory. In the glory, we have everything. We were made very perfect in the glory. Purpose of Jesus dying on the cross, for us to go back to the glory, restore the glory back. He wants to restore that glory back. So when we are going back to the glory, in the glory, you're beautiful in the glory.
Amen.
You're beautiful. So from now onwards, you speak to yourself like that. I'm beautiful. You visualize yourself in the glory, how you look like. Visualize yourself so beautiful, so handsome in the glory. You visualize yourself in the glory. God is telling, by seeing yourself like that, you're bringing that into this world. Hallelujah.
Amen.
You're bringing who you are in the glory, you're bringing that now in the present time.
Yes. Thank you, Jesus.
God is telling, don't ever criticize yourself. You don't have a bad nature. Everybody say that. I have Christ's nature.
I have Christ's nature.
You're not wicked. You're not bad person.
I'm
I
not a
am good.
bad person. I'm good.
I'm righteous.
I'm righteous.
I'm holy.
I'm holy.
I'm new creation.
I'm a
I'm
new
new creation.
Hallelujah. Thank you, Lord.
Thank you, Lord.
I only have to change my mind.
I
That's all.
only have to change my mind. That's all.
Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus.
Hallelujah, Jesus.
In Jesus' name.
Amen.